Hi, I'm Dr. Pat Gill Weber. I just wanted to take a moment in this video to share with you a little bit about who I am and what my background is working with people. So let me tell you my story. I'll try to keep it relatively brief. I'm a baby boomer. I'm going to skip telling you the year, but yes, I am a baby boomer. One thing it definitely does mean is that we were raised very conventionally. We were raised by Depression-era parents, and we were taught to believe hard work, tons of education, and pushing was the way to success. And that's done some good for us and some bad, but that's neither here nor there. That just is the reality of how we were raised. And so I was a striver right from the beginning. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to get a lot of education. I wanted to figure out how I could contribute to the world and what I could do. I graduated college, and when I did, I became a school teacher, which was the shortest educational career in American history. I was less than 2 years a teacher because I quickly figured out when I volunteered for an interactive program with adults that I really enjoyed working with adults. That was the first aha for me. At that point, I had finished my first master's degree in counseling psychology from NYU, which was quite an experience, and really got me interested in personal development and helping people with their personal development. I also started to get interested in the changing business environment, and I thought that somehow maybe the workplace would be a place for me to bring my passion of helping people develop and do that in that arena. So my first job in that arena was in human resources. I was a human resources director at an advertising agency. I was working on my MBA, and it was quite something. It wasn't quite Mad Men, but I wish I had more time to share with you pretty hilarious stories of what it's like to work in a New York City advertising agency as the head of human resources. One thing that happened there that sort of got me thinking about making a switch is that as I was working in human resources, there were a couple of areas that I just really didn't enjoy. One was wage and salary. The other thing that didn't interest me was firing people. And as a head of human resources, I had to personally, in some situations, fire people. That just wasn't me. I just didn't like it, and although I think I handled it as well as I could have, it was something that made me say, you know what, the people end of people development is where you really want to be. So I made my big transition, got a job at a major consulting, training, human resources company, and really that was it. I was forevermore on the path of working with people on issues of personal and professional development. Worked with dozens of companies and insurance companies, banks, traveled all over the country working with this company, this consulting company who's well known, really had owe them a lot. Maybe I'll give them a credit. Development Dimensions International, wonderful company. And I learned a lot there, and I thank them for that always. And then somewhere along the line decided, you know what, I have what it takes to start my own business. And I did. And I, with a partner, started a training and development company in New York. It later grew. We had offices in Chicago and had staff working with us. And again, we were working with people in large and small corporations, but and hospitals, all kinds of places, on developing training programs, developing coaching programs, coaching individuals to be more successful. And then, of course, being that I'm back to being a baby boomer and being a little compulsive and hardworking and hard driving, I thought, yeah, I need a doctorate. So I think I'll do that. I also wrote a book and did a lot of other things that are pretty crazy, but I'll save you those stories. But I did decide to get my doctorate. I wanted to be an expert in personal development and helping adults, so I honed in on the university that has the most renown in the field of adult learning, and it's Columbia University in New York. through a lot of hard work and preparation, I was able to get into their program, which a special program called Aegis. It was a very exciting experience, and of course I was working full time at this time, so it was a pretty busy time of my life, trying to get my doctorate and working and running a company, but I somehow managed to do it. But then probably the biggest aha that led me to where I am now and getting ready to help you, I hope sincerely that's what I can do, was I worked on my dissertation. Writing a dissertation is a pretty complicated, involved thing. Let's just say, think hard and long before you decide to write a dissertation. Call me personally on that one. But anyway, I did, and I decided that what I was most interested in studying and researching was, what was the difference between people that were successful at changing themselves and changing their organizations versus those that were less successful at it. So I chose 5 or 6 major organizations, including the Federal Reserve Bank, Johnson & Johnson, AT&T, some other companies. And I was then interviewing and studying people that were in charge of change. They were the people that were leading the charge to upgrade the organization, change themselves. And the biggest, most unbelievable thing that I learned was that the people that were most successful were those that were unsure of themselves. Now let me correct that a little bit. What I mean is, interestingly, the executives who I met, and they were all great men and women in these different organizations, the ones that were less successful from objective performance metrics were sure of themselves. Well, I worked here and I worked there and I did this and I did that, and I've done this and I've done that, and I'm just charging ahead and I just know what we can do, and so on. That was their approach, and that was how they presented themselves. The more successful people, by again objective measures of performance of the organization and in terms of their change, were people who said things like, Pat, I've worked my tail off. I wouldn't be in this job if I wasn't, but when I had to figure out how to change this organization and change, I realized I had to change myself, and I had to be open to changing myself. And I really needed to be open to looking at innovative and new ways of going about things. It was great. I had a lot of great experience, but I realized I had to sort of start fresh and also work with groups of people. And we was a word you heard a lot. We did this, we did that, versus the I, and versus I know the answers. That has, in many ways, transformed my life, because that concrete knowledge that I got by actually doing that work and having that dissertation experience really convinced me more than ever that there is nothing more important to personal success than personal humility and openness to continuous learning, and a willingness to continually try to improve yourself, to never feel you've arrived. I always find it comforting that Bill Gates is always studying online programs. I find that so refreshing and so terrific, because again, successful people have something in common. They're open, they're willing to experiment, they don't believe they have all the answers. And at that time, I started to then work very hard in corporations. I went on the road. I was traveling 50 weeks a year and working with a lot of wonderful people and doing one-on-one coaching and lots of things in companies. It dawned on several of my colleagues and I something pretty obvious, which was, although we were doing great work and although we were helping people be more successful and coaching people and doing a lot of very positive things, and so are tons of other consultants and tons of other coaches and tons of other training and consulting companies, Lots of great work being done out there. But one of the things that we realized was we're missing reaching out and touching people throughout the organization. That although we were great in the work we were doing, as are the thousands of other people in our field that are doing good work in development and culture change, that it was hard to reach everyone. It was just hard. It was too expensive. It was too complicated, and on and on. So we started developing an online coaching tool. We just said, you know what we need to do? We need to write down all the advice that we've been giving, all the thousands of people we've interacted with, and we need to crystallize that, and we need to write down information and ideas and resources so that people on their own could reach out and touch this information and get some of the coaching magic that comes from real one-to-one coaching. And so it's been a labor of love these many years to build the content and continue to build the content, because again, it's a never-ending journey. There's always new things out there. There's always new ways of being more successful. There's always new strategies, new approaches, fresh ideas. And so we've done that. I want to say something to you. You're better than you think you are. You wouldn't be in the position you're in now. You wouldn't have the job you have now. It may not be the top job, but it's a job that requires skills and intelligence and know-how. And you've got that. What you need is just a little bit of tweaking. You know, it's sort of like when you buy some new tech product and you're getting frustrated because the app isn't working or whatever, and then your friend says to you, oh, you know, just press that. And you press it and you go, oh my goodness, now I get it. And coaching is a lot like that. You don't need to completely redo yourself and change yourself completely. You do a lot of things right. You're doing many things right. But just having a little added tweak here and there is going to make the difference for you. If you think about it that way, if you think about your development as not radically changing yourself, but constantly tweaking yourself, constantly getting that next insight, that next idea. So thanks for listening to my story. I hope it's given you some insights into who I am, what I do.